Must get on to the news. The Trump criminal hush money trial will resume this morning for what could be the final day of testimony. Michael Cohen is set to return to the stand for a third day of cross-examination. Former President Trump's legal team has said this will be its final day questioning him. The prosecution has already confirmed Cohen is its final witness and will likely rest its case after his testimony is complete. The defense focused much of Thursday's cross-examination on a key 2016 call where Cohen previously said he spoke directly to the former president about his hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. Trump lawyer Todd Blanche pressed Cohen on that conversation, bringing up a text exchange he had with Trump's bodyguard right before the call that seemed to suggest the topic was about a prank caller, not Stormy Daniels. Cohen insisted he spoke about both things, despite the call's short length. The other big question is if Donald Trump takes the stand. Last week, lawyers for the former president said they were still unsure if Trump would testify, even though he has said publicly he would like to. Trump's legal team also said they may not call any other witnesses. Judge Merchan told both sides to be ready for closing arguments as early as tomorrow if the prosecution and the defense rest. Let's go to the courthouse and bring in former litigator and MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin. Lisa, do you expect things to wrap up or a surprise Trump witness on the stand?
Mika, I'm not sure that I expect Donald Trump to testify, but it's also possible that we could get other witnesses, including witnesses that we haven't necessarily foreseen. That's because if the defense feels it necessary to rebut Michael Cohen, they might put some other people on the stand that they think can demonstrate that his account of the narrative here is not true. We have other media outlets reporting last week that one of those witnesses could be Bob Costello, who is best known perhaps as Rudy Giuliani's close friend and former lawyer. He's also represented Steve Bannon. But in this context, what Costello has to offer is that he tried to represent Michael Cohen, who strung him along for a series of months. In their exchanges, Cohen says Costello essentially dangled a pardon to him and offered to be a back channel to the Trump White House before Michael Cohen decided, you know what, I'm not going in this direction. Costello has publicly said, including in congressional testimony as recently as last week, that everything Michael Cohen has to say is a lie. In fact, he was a witness for the defense before the grand jury. That's a unique feature of New York law where the defense can call its own witnesses to the grand jury. And indeed, Robert Costello was their only witness last year before the indictment came down. So one thing I'm looking for today is not so much whether Trump's going to take the stand, which I think is increasingly unlikely, but whether we see Bob Costello do the same.
You know, as you will always say, Lisa, you never know how a jury is going to land on something. But since we've had the weekend, so far, how has the defense been able to damage or undermine Michael Cohen's testimony in a real and substantial way?
Well, you know, Mika, a lot of the things that they have used to try and undermine Michael Cohen's credibility are sort of sophisticated, complex stories, and it's not clear that the jury completely understands them. I'll give you one example. Michael Cohen pled guilty in 2018, yes, to campaign finance charges, but also to tax evasion that had nothing to do with Donald Trump. And since then, he has told a variety of different stories about why he pled guilty to tax evasion, testifying last fall, for example, at Trump's civil fraud trial, that he lied when he said under oath that he was guilty of tax evasion. On the stand in this case, on the other hand, he took a different tact. He said he wasn't quibbling with the underlying facts, but rather the process by which that plea was extracted from him. Todd Blanche spent a lot of time with respect to those three differing stories, but it's not clear that it was as intelligible to a jury hearing it for the first time as it was, for example, to you or me, people who have followed this drama very closely. But they've also spent some time, as you noted in your opening, with respect to the texts, right? And particularly this call that Michael Cohen says that he had with Keith Schiller, using Keith Schiller to sort of pass through the phone to Donald Trump. He says that October 24th phone call was an opportunity for him to get the boss's approval on the Stormy Daniels payment. It really is of no moment whether that was the phone call or not, because the records that are already in the case show that 2 days later, Michael Cohen and Donald Trump spoke themselves directly. So it's not clear whether this is landing or not. Let's see how Todd Blanche uses the remainder of his time today.
All right, MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin at the courthouse. Thank you so much. We'll be watching.